So what do you think is the current, let's say, the adoption? Which are the disease profiles where molecular biology or molecular diagnostics is already being used? And what is the kind of adoption rate do you think? Because everyone has every test has, let's say, an alternative,
Yes.
way of, like, let's say, the immuno assay, etc. And but the molecular diagnostics part, which are the diseases or which are the conditions where molecular diagnosis is already being used in the market? The adoption rate is good, and so that is what we want to first understand from you.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think COVID at least gave an what do you say that intro to this molecular diagnostic by bringing in the PCR. But I
Hmm.
just feel that isn't just a bubble. So it just created a need and it gave an exposure to that. This is something like a molecular diagnostic that is very important. It's very sensitive. And the most important point, the lesson, what we got, or the message got to a common man is this is very highly sensitive. Before you get the symptoms, you will be able to detect. That is a key point or the key message that take away from this COVID and with respect to molecular diagnostics. So before COVID, we can say that okay, even except the clinicians who worked on this diagnostic on the other domain, it will be very difficult for people to go talk about your PCR. So even like what is a PCR, then you have to explain the whole process, technology behind it, and the explicit. Now that part is eliminated. Right? You don't have to talk about a PCR. You can just talk about your what exactly is the technology you will be using in
Yeah.
molecular diagnostics. So and on top of that, I just said COVID is a bubble. We just gave an impression about molecular diagnostics, just an idea about molecular diagnostics. But before that itself, it's been widely used in European countries and developed countries, even in many parts of India. They are using it, but still it's in a very steady growth phase. The point is like where exactly this is being implemented is into the neonatal antenatal screening and newborn screening in that phase, because as I told you earlier, before onset of the symptoms we'll be able to detect. That's core strength of this molecular diagnostics. And when we just split up the whole diagnostics process, right, we just come something like a screening, the first phase, then we just move on to the next phase is a diagnostic test, and the confirmatory is what it just confirms that with respect of whatever the false positives, false negatives, just falls under the previous two category, it can be confirmed from this confirmatory test. So all these molecular diagnostic methods and techniques or tools, whatever we adopt, everything just falls on the confirmatory method. So now when we just look at more economical perspective, so when we combine all these three, the effective cost, what we gonna implement will be huge when we go to through the three multiple level processing. So people wanted to have this final confirmatory method or diagnostic test method using this molecular diagnostic to be directly get implemented. That is what
Mhm.
the ideology or the theme that is getting developed or into this startup culture and the even research and academia. Everything is just focused towards that part. And when we see the diseases, I just told you that infectious versus non-infectious and genetic disorders, they have a same level of importance, and the growth is like completely increasing. So it's not that it is in a steady phase; it's an exponential growth that is just developing. And most of these hospitals, because of these newer technologies and faster equipments, instruments, such as like advancement of the equipment and technologies, bringing in more and more amount of what is the speeding of the process. That is what is very important, and just reducing the complexity of a skill level that is required. So that is these are the two things. Is this increasing more number of tests or diagnostic category? That is just bringing in the molecular diagnostic domain into a larger spread of the disease detection or the disorder detection.
So if we want to now look at the current adoption, let's say on the disease side, so infectious diseases, of course, which is because of the COVID thing came up. But which are the other infectious diseases where do you think today molecular diagnostics is already being used quite regularly and the adoption is good?
So I just see that hematology, hematopathology, basically hemoglobinopathies is a major concern. So which even we work on those domains as well.
Mhm.
So the newborn screening and cord blood, so which just plays a very critical role, and that has been widely accepted, and they are using it very often in these domains. Because since
Okay.
these are mostly present in the domains of hemoglobinopathy, this is like specific towards a tribal population. Since
Mhm.
most, it's like whenever it comes to tribal, only the government is getting involved in all these screening, diagnosis, and other programs and all. So since it, like it's not aware in the commercial domain, like the existing culture labs, sorry, diagnostic labs and every labs, it is not being picked up that properly because but the government is just funding a lot on these domains and they're just widely using it for screening of this beta thalassemia, alpha thalassemia, and sickle cell diseases
Sickle
and
cell disease.